Do you really only live once? A lot of people believe in reincarnation and some even have memories of a past life. But time works in mysterious ways. What if those lives are not completely in the past? What if they are present right here and now for you to reach into? This is a Writing Warriors podcast with writer JelleTas Pasma about personal experiences with reincarnation, past life memories and personalities. Welcome to the adventure of lifetimes. Hello my dear listeners and welcome back to the adventure of lifetimes, the podcast. My name is JelleTas. It's a combination name. I am Jelle, a woman, and I am Tas, a man. And how that came to be is a whole story. I have talked about that in the first episode of The Adventure of Lifetimes. So if you missed that one, please go back and listen to it because it's rather essential that you know the story about how that came to be. I am a duo personality. I live with two personalities in one body. One is a woman's personality, the one that I have been born with in this life, and the other is a male personality that came flooding back to me in May 2012. This whole story I talked about in the first episode. In this podcast, I want to talk about reincarnation and all kinds of subjects that have to do with reincarnation. Because I live so much of the consciousness of being incarnated again myself, because I have a personality, one of my two personalities, my male personality, has the experience of living before and coming back in a body that is not his. There is so much to tell, and I wanted to talk about reincarnation and all the things that have to do about it. When I first published my first book, Rode Handen in Dutch, I got a reaction, and that person said, is it not unlikely that there are so many people in this story incarnated again in this same life? So people who lived a past life together are now also together in a life. Is this not unlikely? No. The funny thing is that is the opposite of unlikely, because that happens to everybody. I want to tell you how I see it, and I'm not the only one. This is in my experience. This is how it works. Of course, I can't prove it. This is a knowing in myself, but it's shared with a lot of people. And yet, also a lot of people don't know this. Maybe you have seen these tests on Facebook or wherever on social media that you can test who you were in a past life, and then you do the test and then you are something else every time, and it's incredibly random and weird sometimes. But this is how a lot of people talk about it. I had a past life, one past life. Who was I in my past life? Well, we live thousands of lives. We live so many lives in all kinds of different forms, in all kinds of different sexes, in places in the world, in positions of wealth or poverty, in characters, in situations that you are a victim of something, but also you can be in the next life, you can be the perpetrator. So we live everything. And why is that? Well, in my opinion, it is because we want to experience everything we can in earthly life. Because the experience on earth of this contrast that we are living in gives us the opportunity to expand tremendously every single time that we live a life. And expansion is what it's all about. in my opinion. As a soul, you want to expand, you want to grow, you want to learn, you want to experience all kinds of stuff. And the way that we judge things here on earth, here in this daily life, that is not the way we judge things on a soul level. In my experience, on a soul level, there is no right or wrong. There is light and darkness, but also that has no meaning in it. It's not that light is the only way that things are good and darkness is evil. In my experience, on a soul level, it doesn't exist. There is contrast here on earth because we can learn from it. We can grow. We can experience all kinds of things. And that makes our soul expand. And expansion is what the universe is about. It's I think, almost the only reason why we all exist, because of expansion. It's the driving force behind everything. And experiences make us expand. You can even, with your earthly consciousness, you can even fathom that. When you have a lot of experience, we also say you are stronger because of it. When you have gone through hell, and you come out of that, then you are stronger than you were before. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Well, what does kill you also makes you stronger. And it continues. Because that's the thing. You can look at things on very different levels. We can look at things here on a earthly level, on a one life level. And then things happen in your life. You grow, you learn, you make mistakes, you fall flat on your face, you just get up again, and you get stronger and you expand because of experience. Well, on a higher level, on a soul level, it's basically the same. Only all the adventures, all the things that you experience in one life, you experience over a whole lot of lives. So that is the level that I call the adventure of lifetimes. And that means that you live all kinds of situations and personalities. You are man, you are woman, you are something in between, or both, and you experience all kinds of different stuff. Your soul grows and you expand, and because of that, the universe expands. We all live an adventure of lifetimes. At least that's the way I like to look at it, because it is an incredibly big adventure, isn't it? It's not easy, of course not. That's also part of an adventure. But it is an incredible adventure. And what we experience, we don't experience all by ourselves. We are, of course, dependent also on other people. You can also live a life or choose a life that you are just a hermit and sitting on a mountaintop all by yourself. And maybe that expands you as well. But I think personally that you learn the most from a contrast life, in a life where you deal with all kinds of people, where you have all kinds of relationships, where you are in triggers with other people. You love people, people hurt you, people make you happy, they do stuff to you, it's complicated. It's like this enormous pile of thread that is all just mixed up into each other, and just, it's so incredibly complicated, and we are connected with everything and everybody in a life, in our life. You know this. There are so many people around you. You come from a family, but that family expands rapidly when you are making friends as a kid, when you are going to school, you get in puberty, you get your first relationships. you get colleagues, study friends. Everything is expanding constantly. And not everybody stays in a life. You also people disappear again, new people come. But there are constant contacts with other people through which you learn. You get triggered, you get mirrored by other people. You see basically yourself reflected in other people. And I think that you can't really learn who you are if you don't connect with other people. It's the way we do this as human beings. Well, it would be a bit weird if you experience all these things with a lot of people and you would never meet up again. It seems also to me, like a waste of energy. And I believe that the universe, most of all, is really, really efficient in things. So energy is not wasted, never. I think, and I feel that, I know that for myself, that we incarnate with a whole group of people regularly, in many, many lifetimes, in very different situations to each other. For instance, your mother can be your daughter or your son in the next life. The person who you have done something to, who you were oppressing in a life, can be your oppressor in a next life because you wanted to experience it all. And you live life with quite a few people's souls who are incarnating regularly together with you. And you find each other again. You just meet each other again in all kinds of different circumstances. How do you do that? That is energy. That is attraction. That is, in my opinion, I can't really explain because I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain how energy works, but it is attraction. It is the same vibration that connects and that is attracted towards each other. And I think that also you sort of come up with like a blueprint when you incarnate here. I think that every soul who is incarnating again comes with a plan, like this rough, worked out plan of things that the soul wants to learn. And of course, we have free will, so maybe the plan just goes down the drain and something entirely different happens. Or the same themes come up, but then in a different form. So maybe you want to learn how you can be empathic. So it's about these bigger themes. So that can be in a lot of different ways. And during your life, you will find your ways in which you want to learn it. I also think that we, when we come here, that we also make sometimes agreements with other souls. I think we make agreements with souls to learn stuff. So that can, for instance, it can happen that somebody is giving you hell in a life, that somebody is really hurting you in a life. But that same somebody was your biggest love in another lifetime. Because as souls, you were really close and you agreed upon helping to learn each other the things that you wanted to learn. On that level, there's also no judgment. I don't believe in karma in the sense of that you do penance for something that you did in another lifetime. So you did wrong in a lifetime, and then in the next lifetime you have to do penance for that. you are being punished and you have a gruesome life, and rightfully so, because in a past life you were an asshole and a jerk and you did many, many mean things. I don't believe in that. I only believe that you want to learn different sides. I do believe in cause and effect. So, when you have been through something in a certain lifetime, which is a cause to the way that you are really strongly feeling in that life. You have all kinds of, how do you say that, really fixed ideas because of the things that you went through. I think that these ideas about yourself mainly can come along in other lifetimes. And I think that in other lifetimes you can work that out. So it comes up again, the same theme, the same thought about yourself. Like, for instance, I'm worth nothing. I'm just completely worthless, and I will never do it right. That is a strong one for a lot of people. I think that when you have experienced that really strongly in a certain lifetime, and you come back and you start to touch on the same theme again, that it sort of vibrates along. So the whole theme gets triggered, gets turned on, and it participates again with what you want to learn. So, cause and effect. There can be a cause in a certain lifetime, and the effect, in my opinion, can be in a later lifetime. So something can be caused in a different lifetime than you live now. Well, that is what is sometimes really difficult, because you get influenced by it as a person subconsciously. Most people don't know what happened in that past life and what the reason is for this strong belief that you have about yourself. But subconsciously, this still works. You have the same belief, although nothing really happened in this lifetime that should explain that. Like, for instance, when you had a really nice and warm and loving childhood, but you still have the beliefs in yourself as if you were going through trauma as a kid, that is weird, because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit your life. Well, it also doesn't have to, because it can very, very well come from a different lifetime. For me as Tash, I will tell you about it. I had a very, traumatic childhood, even for medieval times. A lot happened to me. I'm talking to you now as Tash. Maybe you can hear it. My voice is usually a bit lower than Jelle's is. I had a very intense childhood where a lot of things were almost drilled into me. And from that, there was a firm belief that I really was worthless. I took that belief with me in my later life, and everything that happened after that was the effect of that idea, of that belief. Well, when Jelle was born in this life, she had a very warm and loving childhood. And yet, the feeling of worthlessness and of never doing it right was so incredibly strong with her that you could not explain that from her life now. You could not explain the intensity of that feeling, of that belief of herself from her experiences as a child in this life. she never knew why this was, why she always had these feelings. She also could not change it because she was not aware where it came from, how she could heal it, what she could do about it, how she could make it disappear. She couldn't reach it. It was all subconscious, but it was really consciously affecting her. Up until I came, this was real like a mystery. She always said, I don't know why I feel this way, but it was really strong. When I came back and all my memories came back, she started to learn where these feelings came from, and she realized that it was all along basically me that brought these feelings. I was subconsciously present, but not awake yet. I was not, as a conscious person, I was not in the here and now. But with me, attached to me, there was this incredible feeling of worthlessness and, well, the very dark thoughts that Jelle was also talking about in the first episodes. When my memories came back more and more, we really discovered why this was. And then we could do something about it. Well, basically, I could do something about it because it was my youth, it was my trauma, those were my experiences. And I also did, because a couple of years ago, I went into therapy. It was, kind of special way of doing therapy, because the therapist, the psychologist, was really working with me. So we came in the intake, and we also really explained how we were working, what was going on. And she was really open to it. The therapist was incredible and was really open to everything that went on. She didn't say, you are crazy and we have to therapy Tash away. She really took us seriously, and she started to work with me on my traumas, as if I was just a man who was coming to her with my trauma story and all the things that were influenced by it in this life. We did EMDR and we went really, really deep. And I really healed it. It was incredibly hard work. It was not easy. But I worked on my healing, and it's actually also did work. The EMDR sessions worked on my trauma in my lifetime in the 13th century. But because I am so strongly in energy present, I could just go back to the memories and the feelings, and it just worked the same as if I had experienced that in the here and now. So I could heal myself. And that has had its effect on Jelle as well, because she was no longer feeling the strong subconscious and later conscious belief that she was worthless. I also didn't feel worthless anymore. So that was a really special time, and that did a lot. But it also made me realize how many people are influenced by subconscious processes of past lifetimes that they don't know anything about, that they are maybe also working out with people around them, because to come back to that you are not incarnating alone in a lifetime. You come back with a lot of people who you lived lives with before, and you work things out. So, everybody has that in every life. You come back multiple times together in very different forms. So that the person asked, is this not really unlikely that there are so many people incarnated from that life, from that story? No, that is really normal, basically. It happens to everybody. And there are people who talk about this group of souls that are incarnating, a family group of a soul family. Yeah, you can call it what you want, and but those are in any case souls that are really closely connected and live a lot of experiences together. And you will meet each other. And I will switch back to Jelle because she can't do this better than I can. Okay, this is me again. Sometimes I have to switch a bit, to take a few moments, a few seconds to really consciously go into myself as Jelle again. So if you meet people that you have been incarnated before, you will feel something. And you all do. You know this because you all have experienced that you meet somebody for the first time and that somebody feels so incredibly familiar. Or you feel immediately at ease with somebody. It's like you have known that person your whole life. The opposite happens too. You can meet somebody who you don't know, but you feel an incredible dislike or even fear or anger towards that you can't explain. These are all energies that you pick up from other lives, and these souls you already know. When you are conscious about it and this other person is as well, then you can try to find out who you were from to each other. I have done that with many people around me, and it's so rich if you know. I have many people around me in my real close proximity, my real loved ones that I know of to have been with in many past lives. And even though I live this life now, and I live then basically a double life, because Tash is here too, and he already lived a life in the 13th century. But even though you live your life now, but if you feel, if you acknowledge, and if you know that you have had lives together already, then it deepens your relationship a lot. And also, you can sometimes explain why certain things are playing between the two of you. Like, for instance, with a friendship. And there is this theme that comes up every time with the two of you. And you don't really know why, because there's nothing in this life that explains it. But it can very well be that you tap into the energy of the other life that you were together. Yeah, there's a lot to tell about that, and it's really fascinating. The thing with kids, for instance, there's a lot of kids, especially when they are younger than 7 years old, because apparently when you get 7, then things close off more. Then you are more, the whole incarnation process of a child starts, I think, basically with conception. but sort of ends at 7. Then they are really here. And then they dense up, so to speak. The whole energy becomes more dense. They are more here on Earth, go focus on earthly matters. A lot of awareness of things that are beyond the daily life closes off. But before 7, a lot of children have just open memories to their past lives. Lots of the times they get dreams where they get all kinds of memories back, or they make sudden remarks like, for instance, I know a story of a boy who said to his father, "Yeah, Dad, but you did that too back when you were the son and I was the father. Remember? When we lived in the country with the triangles." And that was such a beautiful way of describing it, because this kid was like 3, 4. The country with the triangles. I immediately had to think of Egypt. And I think also that he really meant that. The pyramids, the triangles. Well, maybe it was something different, but that was the real strong association. We all know these stories. There are also really famous stories about this boy who had night terrors. Every night he had this incredibly horrific dream that he crashed with his plane and that there were all flames and fire and he perished in the flames and he couldn't get out of the plane with which he crashed. This is a really famous story. And these people went to look for the reason and went to try to help him. And well, at the end, it turned out that he had memories of a past life as a pilot in the Second World War, and he crashed somewhere in the Pacific. And the beautiful and incredible thing is that they found still 2 sisters of this man. So this young pilot died in the Second World War, but his 2 sisters lived on, and they were still alive. They were really old women, and the boy met up with them, and he could tell them all kinds of stuff that nobody else could know than their brother. And the women also believed him because they had to. They saw him, they felt him. He knew all kinds of stuff that was not to explain by anything else. So this was just the boy who came back. And I don't know the reason why he had these night terrors, but maybe he needed to finish up something. Maybe he wanted to meet his sisters again. I don't know the story about that. But they met, and after that, they also did this because they could point out the place in where the plane crashed. And I think it was in the sea, and they went to that place and they threw flowers overboard in this ritual to put him to rest. And after that, the night terrors disappeared, and this boy could just focus on the life that he had now. So kids can really have these strong memories and feelings still, and they also think it's really normal. So if that happens to you, if you hear a child tell you all these things, just take it seriously, because they still know. They have just connection to all these memories. And it's fascinating, isn't it? Well, I used to think, I wish I could remember stuff like that. Little did I know. Because now the memories of Tash, of course, they are so vivid and I can still reach them. It's like my own memories in this life. But also there are other memories that I can come to. I can reach them. and some are closer by than others, but I can still reach them. And with the people who I was incarnated with. So to get memories back together is really beautiful. Maybe you have these memories as well with certain people. Maybe you have it even with your child. I, for instance, had this when my daughter, when she was little, she could so bemother me that I really said to her, in this life, I am the mom. And that felt also so strong, and that we both sort of had to get used to that, just that we had a different position towards each other. I also know of many other positions that I had towards her. When you have these memories with other people, you will most probably also learn that your whole relationship changes when you know these kind of memories. In any case, it deepens. And of course, when there are not nice memories, then it can also get complicated. But it also gives you the chance to work things through together. And of course, it's different when you know about somebody and the other person doesn't. I also have experienced that a couple of times with people, that I know I was something to them in a past life and they were to me, and the other person doesn't have any recollection to it. And yet, subconsciously, things can happen. Things can just pop through, and then suddenly you feel, there is this person again. The next time I also want to talk about how I think that everything is basically around you always. So all the lives that you lived are still somewhere in your energy field. And why do certain lives then come back, or you can remember them, or you get flashes, or you can do regression and learn about them, and others not? Well, I will talk about that in the next episode of The Adventure of Lifetimes, but I would really like to hear your reactions. If you have experiences with other people that you just immediately recognized when you saw them for the first time, or maybe something changed and then suddenly you saw a side of them which triggered the memories. What happened? What is the story behind it? What did it do to you? What did it do to the relationship with the other person? And of how many people do you have the feeling that you already knew them before? And maybe before. Not just one life, not that one past life, but maybe you have memories or flashes of multiple lives together. I'm curious to your experiences, and please share them with me. I would really like to know. And if you have questions, then ask, and I can maybe address them in just coming episode of The Adventure of Lifetimes. You have also met Tash this episode. He will come back in other episodes when we talk about our own story and also about all kinds of different things and subjects around this theme of reincarnation. I will leave you now. If you liked this episode, then please give us some stars and subscribe, and you will hear me again in, 2 weeks probably. So stay tuned, and probably in the next episode I have big news about the translation. I will say goodbye for now, and you will hear me later. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to The Adventure of Lifetimes. You can find me, JelleTas, and my books with the links in the description. Until next time, past, present, or future.